Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to return to California over in America once again, and this is a brewery that I haven't reviewed for you in over a year actually, but I'm really looking forward to returning to it this time. And this is the first time I'm having a look at one of their famous beer camp beers actually. So we're going to return to one of the pioneers of the American craft beer movement, Sierra Nevada, who are from Chico in California, and this is the Tropical IPA, the Beer Camp 2016 beer. So it should be a very, very nice one. It's rated at 95 on Rate Beer, and these guys, I always enjoy the Sierra Nevada beers. They produce some really awesome stuff, and this was one of the ones that I got from the small Portier range at Systembolaget on the 18th of March 2016. This is, of course, our beer shops in Sweden are nationalised, but we get some of the small batches come in every second Friday, and there's usually some cool things come in from the American breweries, and this is one of them. But very cool to return once again to Sierra Nevada, especially to try one of these kind of special beers that they do. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual websites are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the links to my previous Sierra Nevada reviews I've done for you before. I've done quite a few of their core beers, so do check them out. There's all the usual social media, so check that out as well. And if you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. And as always, to those of you watching in the States, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other American breweries and beers that you guys would like to see me review for you. But anyway, to tell you about Sierra Nevada, so this company was founded back in 1979 in Chico in California, which is in the northeastern part of the state. And this was when the founders Ken Grossman and Paul Camusi decided to expand their home brewing hobby into an official brewery, and these guys really are considered one of the kind of pioneering breweries in the American beer market. But Ken Grossman actually learned to homebrew at a young age, and in 1972 he went on a cycling trip with some friends to Chico in northeastern California, and this was where some of his childhood friends were actually studying, and it was there that he fell in love with the town, and he actually decided to move there. So in 1976 Ken opened his homebrew supply shop, which was called the Homebrew Shop, and he and fellow homebrewer Paul Camusi really started to expand on their love of craft brewing actually and home brewing. So in 1979 the pair founded a small-scale brewery taking the name from Ken Grossman's love of hiking in the nearby Sierra Nevada mountains, and they created their first brewing equipment mainly out of recycled dairy equipment, and they actually made a lot of this themselves, and they finally completed the brewery in 1980. But in 1983 Sierra Nevada opened their portfolio with 3 different beers, the famous Pale Ale, the Porter and also the Stout. I still need to review the Porter for you, but the other 2 are lovely beers. But they also introduced the 10% Bigfoot Ale soon after, and this is considered by many to be the kind of one of the first examples of extreme brewing, because it was 10%, and this is where a lot of the double IPAs and barley wines and things kind of spread out from. But in 1984 they purchased their new 100 barrel copper kettle from Germany, but they actually couldn't afford to install it for another 3 years, and in 1987 they purchased the plot on 20th Street in Chico that would house the 100 barrel kettle, and this location has been the home of the brewery ever since. And in 1989 they opened the doors to their now famous tap room on the site of this brewery. But the company produced their first wet hop harvest ale in 1993, and that same year they also hit the 100,000 barrel mark, and the brewery further expanded in 1997, unveiling a new 200 barrel Hupman brew house with the coppersmiths that produced the original kettle from 1987 producing these new ones, and they actually came out of retirement in Germany to do this for the brewery. But Camusi went on to retire in 1998, and he sold his share in the brewery to Ken Grossman, and soon after they added a 350 seater auditorium at the brewery in the year 2000. And interestingly as well, for me being a chemical physicist if you like, they also added a beer research lab to the exact scale dimensions of the main brewery in 2005. So they did a lot of experimentation with the beers, and this is why Sierra Nevada are really considered one of the kind of pioneering breweries in America. But in 2008 the brewery also launched their event, which this beer comes from, the Beer Camp, and this was where restaurant and bar owners could come to the brewery for a hands-on experience of brewing, and it's actually become a regular event since then, and they celebrated their 30th anniversary soon after in 2010. And one of the other interesting points about this brewery is that it's been entirely solar energy powered since 2007. They actually won the Green Business of the Year award from the US EPA in 2010, and apparently 99.5% of their solid waste is diverted from landfill, and they use the biodiesel from using the grain in their trucks as well. So it's really quite an interesting brewery. They're very green, they're one of the pioneering breweries in America, they're very into their research, and recently as well they've also opened their second site, which is in North Carolina, Mills River, which is what it says on the front of the bottle here. So I'll need to read a little bit more about that brewery for the next video, but as you can tell, a really quite pioneering American craft brewery. But just to list the other beers that are in the core range for you, there's the Pale Ale, the Porter, the Stout, the Torpedo, which is probably my favourite beer that these guys do, and there's also the Kellerweis Hefeweizen, which is really nice as well. So let's actually get on to the tasting of this beer itself. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open up. You can see the colour on this one matches my t-shirt, which wasn't the intention when I woke up today actually. But I just noticed it when I pulled the beer out of the fridge. But it says on the top here, 2016 Beer Camp Tropical IPA. This new equatorial IPA features intense hop varieties bursting with aromas reminiscent of island fruit, including notes of mango, papaya and bitter orange for a tropical take on the IPA. So it should be really nice. You can see the thing on the side here, imported by Wicked Wines into Sweden. 6.7% alcohol. It says, Beer Camp is the perfect way for us to experiment with new flavour directions in beer. Each spring we feature our favourite collaborations from Camp. This year's selection blends intensely hop varietals to create an IPA filled with fruit aromas of mango and papaya. We brew it in Chico, California and Mills River, North Carolina to bring you the finest quality beer. It actually doesn't say what state exactly this one's from, but I guess they do that just because I don't know. Maybe, yeah. But this one is a 6.7% IPA. Just to list the hops that are in this one for you. It's hopped with Amarillo, one of my favourite hops, really nice orangey flavours. Mosaic, Citra, Comet and El Dorado. El Dorado is interesting because it gives you this kind of peary watermelon flavour as well. But the malt base is 2-row pale Munich malts and also honey malts too. So it should have a nice bit of a kind of caramelly brown sugar flavour to it. As you can see, there is the top bottle cap to this one. It just says Sierra Nevada like most of the other ones do. But let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting here. It should be very, very nice. So yes, as you can see, a nice smoky opening on this one. I'll just check you're seeing that on the camera. But quite a little bit of stuff coming out of this one. But it's always cool to return to Sierra Nevada. And that's a really nice pour on this one. The beer looks absolutely lovely. That's the perfect pour, ladies and gentlemen, right up to the top of the glass. But it looks wonderful. The Sierra Nevada beers, they are cult classics, but they never ever seem to lose their quality. They produce some really, really good stuff. So yeah, as you can see, this beer is poured a crystal clear. Look at the transparency on that beer. You can see it right through. It's a nice, rich, kind of goldeny amber colour. It looks very nice. There's a solid 2-finger, probably just a little bit more than that actually. There's a 2-finger frothy white head on this one. It looks very, very nice. Some big bubbles sticking to the side of the glass, not many though, but quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of the head there. Looks exactly as you would expect an IPA too. So let's have a look at the aroma on this one. Oh yeah. You can really smell the papaya and the mangoes in that one. It really is quite a pungent mango aroma. There's maybe a little bit of passion fruit in there too, and the orange citrus is really coming out as well. It's got a nice sweet orange. There's a hell of a lot of Amarillo in this one. You can really smell that, and that's without sugaring it up. You can smell a bit of the sweet caramel coming out underneath too. The caramel and the orange seem to mix quite well, but we'll sugar it up and see what else we can get. Yeah, when you sugar it up a bit more, you start to get a bit more of the more pungent kind of tropical fruit notes out of this one. You can smell a little bit of passion fruit and a little bit of grapefruit in there, and you also start to get the kind of floral aromaticity and the pine resins that go with a lot of these hops. The Mosaic in particular is one I remember having quite an earthy floral aromaticity to it. And you can start to smell that come out in this beer, but overall it's quite sweet and caramelly. You can get a little bit of the bread malts. The 2-row malts always give you a nice kind of caramel malt in them, and that seems to be a favourite among American brewers actually, and it's one that they don't use so much in Europe, but I do wish they would. So 2-row malts I always really enjoy. But yeah, it smells absolutely lovely. Some nice juicy mangoes in this one, a lot of sweet orangey citrus. When you sugar it up, you start to get the more pungent, oily, slightly grapefruit, slightly passion fruity characters coming out of this one. But you can smell the mangoes in there, and there's a little bit of that kind of peary, not really watermelony in this one, but you can get a little bit of the kind of peary character that you get from the El Dorado hop. El Dorado is very interesting. You don't see it used that often, but it can be a very nice hop to add to some of these more complex IPAs. But it really does smell nice and juicy and tropical. The mangoes in there. You can get the papayas as well. The papaya has a very distinct aroma. So just pay attention to that. I trained my nose by making fruit juices and getting used to all these things. But you can smell it in there. It smells absolutely lovely. Really looking forward to this one. So just take a little bit of time and smell the beer and enjoy it, especially when it's a limited edition one like this. But just take a little bit of time and take all the scents in from this beer before you try it. But let's get stuck into this beer now then. This is the Beer Camp 2016 Tropical IPA from Sierra Nevada, one of the pioneering breweries over in California in America. Slanje, skål as we would say in Sweden. Yeah, certainly doesn't disappoint. That's a nice beer. And the other thing that I noticed from it as well is it's really nice and light bodied. It's got a nice bready, sweet kind of bready and caramel malt base to it. I was expecting it to be a lot more hop forward than it is, but it's actually very well balanced. Yeah, that's a really nice beer. Beautifully done, I have to say. Yeah, you will definitely enjoy this one. If you're a fan of the American IPAs, you will really enjoy this. So in the middle of the palate, your palate's just blanketed with this nice bready character. It's got a bit more body to it from the pale malts and the kind of the caramel that's in there actually. But the hops really do start to push their way out a little bit later on. I'm just checking the malts, yeah. That makes sense with the big bready characters that are in this. It's got Munich malts in it. The name just went right out my head. But if it's got Munich and 2-row malts in there, you're going to get a nice bready character, and you're also getting a bit of caramel from those 2-row malts in there as well. There's a bit of honey malt in here too, which is very nice. You can really detect that sweetness there as you move towards the middle of the palate, and it starts to blend a little bit with some of the fruity character. As I always say, just behind the front curve of the tongue, that's where some of the juicy fruity characters really come out of this beer, and you can just feel them in there. Around the edge of the tongue you can actually get a little bit of the earthy character from the mosaic hop, just at the very back corners of your palate. As you come further forward, you feel the piney resins coming out, and also some of the floral aromaticity on top of it. It's actually quite a dark and it's a dark kind of floral and pine resin character that you're getting from this one. As you come around the front of the tongue, it becomes quite grassy, and the floral aromaticity just dissipates a little bit. But overall, the flavours are very nice in this one. It's very well balanced actually. That's a good beer. This one will definitely not disappoint you. It reminds me, it actually comes across as being somewhere a little bit between the, it's a little bit like the paleo, but just a little bit more on the juicy tropical fruit side of things, rather than being quite into the more pungent, oily tropical fruit flavours. That's what this one really reminds me of, but maybe I'm thinking of the Torpedo, but it seems to be somewhere in between those two on the feel. It's got a good bit more caramel, I think, than the paleo, but not quite as much as the Torpedo from what I remember. And oddly enough, actually, now that I think of it, in Sweden, I haven't seen the regular Sierra Nevada beer stocked. It always seems to be the special ones that we get in the small portier range. We don't really seem to get the like the Torpedo or the Paleo or the regular ones. It's always the special beers we get from Sierra Nevada. Not that I'm complaining, but I've just thought of that actually, because I see the Sierra Nevada ones very regularly at home, but not here in Sweden. But this is a damn nice beer actually. You will really enjoy this. The fruity characters go together very well. The orangey citrus is really coming out in this one. You can get those mango flavours mixing in, and you can also get the papaya. For me, there is a little bit of a watermelony or peary character. You can really get a little bit of that El Dorado hop coming out there, which gives it that added little bit of complexity, but really it's focusing. The hoppy character for me just has a very slight juiciness. The sweet caramel character is there, but in the aftertaste it's really the slight earthiness and the dark floral aromaticity and pine resin that's coming out in this beer. It really is a very nice one. In Sierra Nevada, you would never expect them to disappoint, and I can see why this beer is quite highly rated on 95. The thing that really gets me about this one is just how well all of these flavours blend together, and it does really quite well. In terms of the mouthfeel, this one, I would say it's mid-bodied It's got a good oily mouthfeel to it actually, which is really nice. And yeah, the carbonation does have a little bit of a prickle to it. It helps bring out the more resinous and darker aspects of the floral aromaticity to the beer. It works very, very well. There's a good balance between the fruity, juicy character, the sweet malts, and also the kind of bitter and slightly darker hoppy flavours. It's very nicely done, and I would recommend that you give it a go. It certainly doesn't disappoint, and I hope we get more of these special beers from Sierra Nevada here in Sweden. So yeah, go and check out the Tropical IPA from Beer Camp 2016. I think this must be very fresh actually, considering it's the middle of March when I'm filming this one. I guess it would have been brewed sometime in February or in early March, so we're quite lucky, I guess. It says it was packaged on the 20. It actually says it was packaged on the 29th of December 2015. I didn't notice that actually, but it says it just on the back of the bottle here. So it is fairly fresh actually. I don't know, I don't think 2 months in the bottle is all that much, but it's a very nice beer, and I would recommend that you try it out. Very well balanced in my opinion, and another great one from Sierra Nevada. So yeah, thank you for watching my beer reviews once again. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out the social media things. Let me know your favourite beers from Sierra Nevada, and I will try and keep up with some of these special ones that we're getting here in Sweden. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comments section below as always. But until the next time, slange just now, and go and check out some of the Sierra Nevada beers, especially the special ones. They seem to be where Sierra Nevada are really pulling out some crackers these days. Until next time folks, slange just now, and I will catch you soon. Cheers.